TreFloProductions.com.
Welcome everyone to another episode of the Warmup. I'm here with the guys as per usual here. It's me, Dirty Money Chris. I got Kev RL, Ralph Tresvant, and the guy who only goes to church on Easter and Christmas and funerals. It's Cole Cashwell. Say what's up to the YouTube crowd, guys.
What's up? Happy Easter.
What's up?
Sorry about that, Cole. You got
Dab's coming early.
Oh no, man. You know, I haven't seen you in like 3 weeks, man. So I thought you was, I just wanted to let you know, man, we miss you. So
That's his way.
The last episode.
Oh yeah,
I know, right?
Yeah, I guess so, man. All right, and this is
about to be the whole Joe Budden podcast.
It seems like it, man.
I just don't hear from you, man. And then then you pop back up, man. I don't know. Anyways, if this is your first time watching us, man, this is a place where we talk about sports, current events, and everything else in between through the lens of Black culture. And if you like what you see, please subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, share, comment, engage with us, follow us on social media and all that fun stuff. We got more social media platforms that you're going to get more engaged in, so keep an eye out for that. We'll let you know. And let's just jump right into it, man. The biggest news in the past week or so has been none other than Kevin Durant. Is either Kevin Durant or is Draymond Green? Someone got something to say, and this time it's Kevin Durant. Where is he at? He's in the Twitterverse again. Oh, sorry, IGverse this time. Twitter fingers are active, and he had some things to say, some choice words to say with Michael Rappaport, who has aired out, to say the least, his dirty laundry about the DMs that's been sent to him, saying a bunch of things. Although edited, we saw that it was kind of edited in the IG DMs, but showing some of Kevin Durant's rhetoric towards Michael Rappaport. So of course he put them online for everyone to see. Kevin Durant then got fined $50,000 by the NBA for using choice words, to say the least. And just 2 weeks ago, there was a back-to-back. The first Drake diss album was the Kerr versus Durant, and some words that Kerr has said in respect to a interview where he said that, quote, "I enjoyed last season when we had the worst record in the league more than I enjoyed the last season that we went to the finals." Moving past that, he was saying, there's a lot of things going on that you knew about, and some of the things that you didn't know about. It was very difficult. And so, of course, Kevin Durant responded in the Twitter world and said, "This is hilarious," when quoting something along the lines that, Kerr enjoyed the last year losing versus the last year when they lost to the Toronto Raptors. So, with all that said, encapsulated, man, what do y'all think, man? Is Kevin Durant being too sensitive, or is we just kind of like, is this all about nothing? Ralph, you got something?
I think Kevin Durant is being sensitive in both cases. The headline was kind of crazy with the Steve Kerr one. I did come to his defense a little bit on that, just like the headline was crazy, but he could have called Steve Kerr. I feel like they could have a relationship there if they wanted to. With the Michael Rappaport thing, like, obviously his comments were out of line. The finding is probably appropriate, but I mean, to make it a basketball metaphor, it was kind of like a flop there. You know what I'm saying? The man fell for the bait and switch. Michael Rappaport made sure the rest were looking. There was some foul play, but he sold it.
Okay.
Okay. We kind of talk about this in the pre-work, but whenever somebody's snitching, when they're wearing the wire, they don't ever say what they doing wrong. They just like, "Hey man, so you selling the drugs, right?" Like he ain't talking about what he doing, what bodies, what skeletons he got going on. So just the way that he posted a one-sided conversation where it just looks like KD was just going on a rant, talking to himself, that was a little suspect. But at the end of the day, don't fall for the bait and switch. You play basketball, people going for the flop. They trying to get cool points or whatever they trying to get. Like, don't fall for the bait and switch.
Got you.
But he definitely being too sensitive, going back and forth with everybody about everything. Like, focus on basketball.
Gotcha. Cole, you got something you want to add to that?
You know, I'm thinking about what Ralph said, man. You really think he fell for the bait and switch?
Hey, that was. I don't think he felt like it. Like he claimed, this is how they go back and forth.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just in today's era where people's just trying to expose you. Like he got caught. He shouldn't be using that language in the first place, especially talking about the man's. He had some homophobia in there, and he was talking about the man's family. Mm-hmm. Like, these are lines that you shouldn't cross in general. I don't know how they get down, but I know y'all, my homies, or people, even people I have acquaintances with, I don't talk to them like that. Yeah. So he do need to do some growth and maturity there. But at the end of the day, anything that you say can and will be used against you.
Bruh, I don't listen. I'm never bringing up anybody's wife in a conversation.
For real.
You know what I'm saying? Unless it's like, hey, your wife's cooking is good. It's a compliment. And it's a measured compliment. You know what I'm saying?
You ain't never been over for dinner? How you know that?
Nah. So that's not happening, man. So KD, he's $1 million, multi-million dollar player, man. The Slim Reaper, man. We had high hopes for KD. One of the most skilled players in the NBA. This is beneath him, man. This is beneath him. This dude's 6'11", 7 feet tall. Talking about I'm gonna spit on you. He gonna rain saliva on Rappaport, man. Come on, that's too much. I think that KD. I can't tell the man what he puts focus at, man. But the dude still has burner accounts, and he got caught 2-3 years ago using a burner account. For those that don't know, my moniker today is his burner account, the one that was blowing up in cop, man, Cole Cashwell, where he was tweeting himself about something to stage the question where he could say, oh yeah, Billy Donovan's son. You know, so KD's too talented for this, man. He has everything on the line to lose. He's getting fined $50,000. Rappaport, who's gonna fine him?
He just got some podcast views, that's it.
Exactly. He got to come up, man. He should have came with this dude like this. Like I said, we don't know if that's how they play. If they play that way, man, listen, I don't want to be part of that circle. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. That's a good point too, man. Kev, you got something?
It ain't much to say, man. Like they don't hit on all the points I think we need to be able to touch on right now. It was a little bit sensitive of KD wherever he was with the curse statement. It wasn't a full conversation that was shown to us. It was a snapshot. So it was like, yeah, I felt like that one he definitely took the bait and just was like all up in his feelings about it. The Rappaport situation, man, I don't know what kind of relationship they got, but I heard some of the comments based on what y'all told me. I haven't even read it for myself, the transcript or anything. But what surprised me is his apology. It wasn't even as though like he wanted to take it back. And I quote, the man said, "I'm sorry that people have seen that language I've used.
I'm sorry I got eyes."
Yeah.
Who taught y'all how to read?
And then went on to say, it's not really what I want people to see and hear from me. So it's like, man, if that's the case, don't say it. You shouldn't be saying it at all. If you don't want people to see it, Michael was seeing it if nobody else was seeing it. And you was okay with him seeing it, so you might as well have been okay with anybody seeing it. Mm-hmm. So, man, like Cole said, man, like you're above it. You're above it. Not wasting time. You got stuff to focus on. Maybe he just got too much time on his hands right now, being up from injury. Yeah. I don't know. You need to get it together.
It definitely was a non-apology though. Because I feel like he definitely meant to disrespect. I don't know if he meant to be like homophobic or like, crossing them kind of lines, but he definitely meant to be insulting and disrespectful. Maybe that's why we got that kind of apology. And it just gets back to this. There are some things that are not maybe offensive, but maybe you don't want out in the public. And it was a kind of a private matter that was blown up and exposed. So I don't know.
Yeah. I don't like that part of it either.
Yeah.
So
that's between y'all two.
Yeah. So then what do y'all think he should do? So someone just go ahead and like take social media away from him, Or should we just let him drown in his own?
It's impossible, man. The dude's still using burner accounts, and he admits it.
Oh,
He said it brings him happiness.
Okay.
Where are the
Nobody said
homies, bro? Where are the homies? That's the question. Where are the day ones who got some head on their shoulders that is just like, hey man, let me handle your socials. You focus on this basketball and this recovery.
Hey man, that's a good question. I only know his mom is like his day one. I don't know anyone else. Like,
where is mama? Where's mama at then? Like, I don't know.
I don't know, man. She probably don't know how to use Twitter like that. I don't know.
You know, my thing going back to the original thing, man. So supposedly, this is what started it, right? Rappaport tweeted back in December. KD seems deeply in his feelings with the NBA on TNT crew after the game. Damn it, he's super sensitive about everything. Don't do the interview. And I guess somehow that percolated through the interwebs, made it to KD, and that's what sparked this whole thing. And I don't know if I say invested. Do I want to say lost? I don't know. But I listened to the Rappaport show, and he went into depth about it. Like I was telling you guys earlier, he filled in some of the blanks that we saw on the screenshots. And according to him and KD were never cool. He never knew KD before. He's just a fan. He doesn't admit to be like a super in-depth NBA guy. And he doesn't know why KD just came at him just like this out the blue.
I don't believe that.
I don't believe that either.
That's
all like
the rope. See, that's
why
why you just get people rope.
Watch him run to the floor, man. This is what he said.
From my knowledge, he's not Spike level with the Knicks, but he's been pretty involved with basketball and making comments and going back and forth with players.
Let me say this last point. This dude said, if you ever see KD, if he's ever with arm's length of KD, which if I'm within arm's length of KD, the dude could grab me up, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna break his jaw.
How?
Oh,
do the 6'11". He gonna jump up and do it? Like,
he said that.
Superman punch.
Super Mario.
This is what I'm talking about.
He got extra now.
But I don't care. I don't care if he what's the Rocky Marciano. I don't care if he got the hands, he could do it. This is what I was talking about from the beginning. What I didn't like. So now, we supposed to be mad at KD. How shocking! He talking crazy. He talking greasy. He crossing boundaries. Mm-hmm. Now he out here. I'm gonna put hands on you.
Yeah. And
then he want to go and be like, look at this. I'm the victim. Like this, that. Yeah. Hey man.
So why can't we believe he's a victim? I feel like it's hard for everybody to believe that he's a victim. Is it because he talked shit so much back in the day?
You cannot say, if I see you in the streets, I'm gonna break your jaw and then say I'm a victim. Yeah. Point, period.
In response?
Charlemagne the God. I'm the radio God. That's it, right? If I see you in the streets, I'm gonna break your jaw. You can't go back and switch it up again and just, I don't know the guy. I'm just a personality. I said a couple things. I don't know why he's so angry. You can't. Yeah, that's you true. In or you out. You about that life or you not about that life.
Yeah,
it don't mix. Right. It don't mix.
You're right. I mean, he just saying like this is not like he's not 100% clean in this. He was engaging in some of these like questionable actions as well.
You're not a victim. You're a part of the problem. Like y'all was two dudes that's doing bad things, and bad things happen in those situations.
It's just like if, again, going back to basketball, it's like if someone bumps you and you push them.
Yeah.
Like obviously the push. Technical. Yeah. Obviously the push may get more of the condemnation, but like we know it's a reactionary situation. I mean, it doesn't mean the guy's like, oh man, like I didn't know I don't know why he pushed me. Like everyone knows. Like we know.
Yeah.
It's just some context there. So cool. Anything else on Kevin Durant before we move on? Because we got some other stuff to talk about.
Man, get back on the court so we can stop doing all this off-court nonsense.
Just find another hobby.
Yes.
Just find a hobby. Keep yourself busy when you're not on the court.
Circle like y'all was saying.
Or if you don't got the day ones, get a publicist. Let them handle the socials.
Hey man, they got solitary on the phone now, man. You should take up solitary.
Okay.
Wow.
Minesweeper.
Any solo game, you should. Please take that up. We need you back on the court.
Candy Crush.
With money in your pocket.
All right, KD, stay in the court and stay off of the Twitter streets, please. Moving on, man. Again, NBA season is in the dog days of the season. Trade deadline has passed, but buyout season is open. We've had Andre Drummond go to the Lakers. We've had LaMarcus Aldridge go to the Nets. We've had Blake Griffin go to the Nets. Who else went to the Nets? Anyone else go to the Nets? God, leave. So it kind of poses a question, man. Is there a double standard in how teams stacking when players take control of their own destiny and go towards a team that they feel like they would have the best success in, versus when actual general manager and president of basketball operations and team organization stack their teams as best as possible. Again, we've seen a lot of the backlash, Marcus Aldridge, Blake Griffin going to the Nets and people being like, outraged. And we've seen it before with Kevin Durant going to Warriors. We've seen it with DeMarcus Cousins going to the Warriors, or different players go into teams that are pretty hype right now, or in the time. So is there a double standard at all? Cole, you want to start off with something? You got something?
So the double standard, I was about to type some notes, but I'll say it off the dome right now. Teams control the player's destiny, right? First, 8-year contract, 7-8 years. I forget how long the contract is.
Yeah.
The team has you, right? And then we're talking about player empowerment, but let's be real about it. The only players that can move anywhere are the stars.
I think that was a good perspective, Cole. But I think at least when we talked about this before, the double standard was more about like certain teams, not even like versus the players GM.
The players in the teams.
Because I know my thing when I brought up this topic was I'm seeing what everybody's saying about the Nets. I hear where y'all coming from. I heard where y'all was coming from with the Golden State Warriors, and the memes start floating around. LeBron and AD versus the world, and I'm like, hold on. Didn't y'all just pick up Andre Drummond, on the buyout or aftermarket or whatever you want to call it, trade deadlines? I don't know if it happened before or after. I forget.
It was after, but yeah.
Buyout got shipped over there. Their team, they got Harrell. Obviously, he was a sixth man before. I hear that. But, AD's still there. You had, what other talent they had come to the team? But they just picked up somebody this season.
They picked up Marc Gasol this season.
Marc Gasol, which I know he's not performing well, but on paper, that's a former All-Star, right?
Yeah,
he's been All-Star before.
Defensive player of the
So,
year.
I know when we were talking about Warriors versus some of these other teams, you had current All-Stars, and I hear that argument. But, there's former All-Stars going to the Nets. This is not Blake Griffin in his highlight, in his heyday. This is these are not, players. LA, he's been doing okay in the Spurs, but he's he's not as good as he once was. He's not a team leader. He's not carrying that workload anymore. So how does certain teams go under the radar, even seem like, they're on the they're the underdog when it comes to this, where everybody's playing the game who can. That's how I see it. So is there a double standard there?
Yeah,
I see it that way too. I see everybody's playing the game. It could be a double standard, and I think it may be based on individual perspective. I don't feel like there's one, because I felt the way I felt about the Warriors and whatever is based on the situation and based on how I viewed it.
Good point.
Strong team, getting all these people. With Lakers, for example, just to touch on that a little bit, just to give a scope. They already start stripping down their big guys, right? They send Howard away, they send JaVale McGee away. So they're already rebuilding in that area of the court. Getting Marc Gasol, I was happy. I was like, because this dude, I know he has this IQ, and I value that playing with LeBron. I feel like those things mesh really well when he's playing with other people who also have good basketball IQs. But as you mentioned, it's not really meshing, or it's not meshing, but it's not really coming to fruition as we expected, at least offensively. So when they went out to go pick up someone else, I was okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you should do, especially not just off the strength that it's not working out, but off the strength of that's another vector. And another vector is that as you go in the playoffs, and we see with AD and we see with LeBron, sometimes people get injured.
Exactly.
And to have that depth in that rotation, it makes sense to me. So I'm never the one to be like, the team should just, do what you got to do to build a squad to win.
That's what they did. Yeah, they replaced the two big men that they lost because they had two big men before behind AD. It's no different now. They only had Marc Gasol before, and they needed a third person because that's the game they play. They play that big ball and really crowd you that way. And with the whole, I could see why some people are getting up in arms about Nets just because of those three guys. Those three guys, like we mentioned, a lot of people are all-stars. A lot of people are great players, are good players. Superstars. And very few people are superstars. And those three, whether or not you say they're superstars, they're definitely all superstar talents. And it's like, with superstar talents, it's like three of them already. You don't need any more.
Yeah.
I didn't think my boy Griffin would have been some.
That's the one that I'm like, people complaining about Blake Griffin about to come and take over the league.
Yeah.
Oh, you heard they got Blake Griffin? Nobody was doing that like 2 months ago. All of a sudden he going to the Nets. Is like they got Blake. Like, come on.
What? I see the argument though. Now I think about it, I see it's a narrative thing.
Yeah.
All right. So the Lakers, AD, I can't say AD quit on New Orleans. What, year before last? It was like they were trying to negotiate. He was yelling that he wanted to through his agent, but he was still balling.
Yeah.
And New Orleans shut him down, right?
Correct. Yep.
You want to protect your trade asset. It makes sense.
But with the Nets, man, when you think about it, you have 4 players on there that have the narrative quitters. KD, right? Kyrie, Harden quit on Houston, and Blake. I mean, because now he seems like definitely a better version than the Detroit Blake. So I think when you look at it that way, how they got to the Nets, I don't think people like that.
I do think there's a double standard, and I think it's a double standard because of context. So if you look at it at face value, does one team get sacrificed or put on a pike versus another team when they both are trying to stack talent? Yeah. Again, we saw it last year. We saw it with the Clippers. They were just accruing talent all season, like all season. Yeah. We saw Lakers. Basically, it was an arms race. No one said anything. It was like, oh, okay, we know they're going to clash. It's going to be a great
battle of LA.
Yeah, and that was a build up, right? And no one ever was like, why is everyone going to, Clippers? Why is everyone going to the Lakers? And again, I get it. Like, you don't look at it as shifts in power, balances of power, because these aren't like superstar teams with like 3 or 4 superstars, and then like everyone's going like. I think that's where the hypocrisy comes in, or the double standard comes in. But I do think that the double standard is valid because you do want to have some level of parity, and I know we talk about parity and the false sense of parity, or
do we really want parity in the NBA? People love that.
Actually, I don't know.
I was thinking about that today. I thought that we wanted parity, but we love dynasties.
I prefer parity. I prefer to go into a game being like Kings versus, Nets. I don't know who's gonna win. But it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a battle. I don't want to go into a team. I don't want to go to a game. And this is kind of how I felt with Golden State when they had their 72 season. I would go to a game. I'm like, man, let me watch the first couple of quarters, see how this thing looks. Man, by the halftime, I'm like, this ain't going nowhere. By third quarter, it's definitely. By fourth quarter, they're all sitting down. I'm like, okay, well, I can sit down. I go watch something else because I knew the game was such a blowout. I would prefer to really watch a game that is like 5 minutes, 5 points or less, coming down to the wire, because then you get to see how people like elevate to the occasion, rise to the occasion. We see how people fold. We kind of see like all those stars kind of start to shine. So personally, I prefer parity. I don't know how you feel, Cole, but
I don't
think both.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer too, because I think we like to celebrate the dynasties, but I do prefer it, even not just basketball, even football. I do prefer those playoffs when it's just like, the unexpected teams are advancing, or like it's getting close between other teams, like the Nuggets coming out of nowhere and start being playoff contenders. That first year, like I do really like those seasons and those moments. So I hear you, but I do also like I do like those teams, celebrating those teams, like the Warriors, the Cavs, Who else is putting together? And that's the hard thing with championships. Like
Spurs.
everybody else falls apart. But if you just perennial contenders, Spurs,
Yeah.
the Rockets, the Trailblazers.
Yeah.
OKC for a while before, especially before KD though.
Yeah.
Even then, I always felt like they got bounced out.
But like you mentioned the Spurs. That's not a dynasty necessarily because of the players. Yes, they had great players, but we've seen that team still make it in the playoffs or get at least mentioned when it comes to the playoffs with just the okay roster.
Yeah.
I feel like
to take anything away from DeRozan and LA, but like the other teams and how they're stacked.
Yeah.
Like they still do it, and that was a dynasty that's created off of good coaching and whatever the systems they have in place.
Yeah.
So we celebrate those things because that, for human beings, for us not to celebrate those things is to say we don't like the best of ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's not true. We like to see when we work hard enough to get to that level and shine.
Yeah.
Like Warriors, that was homegrown before KD came. So we could appreciate that 73 win season because we knew. It was all these guys that grew up in the system. When KD come, that soured the situation.
I hear that.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Even then, I can't think of another team where they just added one player, one star, and juggernauts. Because Golden State was homegrown. All they did was add KD.
It was already juggernauts. That's the thing.
4 All-Stars.
They had 4 All-Stars and they had like 2 or 3 gold medalists. Andre Iguodala, we forgetting about Iguodala.
Yeah. Was Barbosa one? I don't know.
Barbosa wasn't one because he played for Brazil, but he was on the Olympic team.
Yeah.
What was it?
But I mean, the thing is, so the thing about to answer your question directly, if LeBron went to Boston Celtics when they had KG and Paul Pierce, easy. Like everyone would have known that okay, this is the team that everyone's going to go in and try to beat and probably going to fail. If let's say I'm trying to think another player that could have done something like that. Obviously MJ. If MJ went to the Lakers back when they still had Magic and they still had an old Kareem and. They probably started like getting like Eddie Jones or something like that as a backup. Eddie Jones was killing, but I had him as a backup. Huh?
If Brian went to Chicago, it was a rumor when before D Rose, before the injury. I think it was either him or Carmelo. They were both thinking about going. One of them going to go to Chicago.
Yeah, Carmelo definitely was thinking about Chicago. But like there are teams, and I think that's the point of it. But like there are players that we see go from one location to another location, like one just A to B, and you see how vastly that improves and diminishes the teams that are impacted. And so when those balances of power, if the top 2 players in current NBA decide they want to team up, like before they were like on separate teams and they decide they want to like pair up, or like the top 3 players they decide they want to pair up, it becomes really it does change the landscape of like competition.
Yeah,
good point.
Because no one else is going to have another 2. Like 4 and 5 are never going to be in the same situation to even battle that.
I still think it's all about fit. I think Golden State is an anomaly. Like you had those cats and their skills just complemented each other.
I was just going to say that. Yeah,
it was difficult for them to win. It wasn't easy. Who else? LA, the bubble year, that's tough to gauge. Boston was another team. The skills that came together, they complemented each other. I think everybody else, it was difficult. Like the Nets, I don't think they're gonna just walk to get the chip because their skills. Harden he's a beast.
Yeah,
he's a yeah.
They might be.
I think those 3 complement each other. Is how do other people fit into it? And even talking about that team, and yes, they had superstars, but to get those superstars, they depleted their depth. So the same way it was expected that they would try and get an Andre Drummond, it makes sense for them to try and fill in those role players and try and find something to make that work.
I agree.
But the difference being, just like y'all pointed out, you got 3 superstars, so people are looking at that first. And they're like, oh, okay, this is what y'all doing? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
So with all that said, man, we know that a lot of those players are probably going over there for the dream of having and acquiring a championship ring so they can walk around with some jury for the rest of their lives and talk about them being in a championship club and not be getting ridiculed by Shaq for not having a championship ring.
You don't have a ring.
Doesn't matter how many free throws you hit in a row, you never had a ring. Like, so we understand like that's the ultimate goal. So this kind of leads to this next question. Do y'all think that the championship ring is overvalued? We understand that they talk about it in the media all the time. We see that there's a lot of decisions are predicated on achieving the championship ring. Does that overvalue or water down the value of acquiring a ring? Kev.
Loaded question. I was on the first question, which is like, is it overvalued? And I was like, yes and no. But you went a little deeper with it, and you lost me there. So let me just step back.
Okay.
I say yes and no with the overvalue only because, like you mentioned, it is the goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
To get this ring, and it's getting to the point now where it looks like all the decisions are being made just for that. So that's where the overvalue may come from.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to Shaq and teasing players and stuff like that, like these guys still make it to the Hall of Fame, right? We still recognize them as being great fit players. So in that respect, it's not overvalued. Like we don't say they're not great because they didn't win a ring. We usually only bring that into context when we're doing these head-to-head matchups, like Kobe versus Jordan,
T-Mac or something. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, these very head-to-head players. You want to bring in rings now.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. Drop that bomb. So it's getting to that point now where it may be overvalued. It may be from certain teams' perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see all teams in the whole of the NBA doing the same things and making the same moves. Like Kyle Lowry, we talked about him with Toronto. Spurs. I don't want to just have no options, but they're not making these big fantastical moves like other people. So the whole league seems to be infested with this whole ring fever. But you can definitely tell there are a few players, maybe the superstars, who have not had a ring yet within this time frame of LeBron's dominance. I think they're just itchy. I think they're just like, man, bump this. I'm sick of this guy. Like, or not just him, but just I need to get there. Like I'm that talented as well. Like I see LeBron, he's talented, but I can do that too. So I see they're making these moves now just to get that ring, and it could be a detriment to the sport, but I think it's maybe temporary.
Got you. Okay. Coley Cole, you got something?
I like everything that Kev said, but my overall thought on it is that it's not overvalued. Because I think about like old school players, man. I'm talking about like Kev's favorite OG player, Gary Payton.
Chris Paul? Oh,
Chris Paul.
Chris Paul OG.
That's the current
Oh,
OG.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Was that?
Yeah, it was Chris Paul. I took his words out of context.
I was like, Gary Payton. I never heard Kev big up Gary Payton like that. Like, I'm sure he don't be got beef with Gary Payton, but that's
I don't got beef
Pete
with him at all.
Maravich.
I appreciate it.
But Peyton was a cat that a lot of people respected for the way he played. I don't know if players like him, but he left and he went to LA to try to get a ring, man.
Yeah.
And then he left them and went to Miami and finally got one with Shaq, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just think about, I don't think it's overvalued because players towards the end of their career, like Kev said, that's the pinnacle, that's the goal, that's why they signed up. That's why the sport is important. I mean, we all play that as kids. 3 seconds for the championship, shoot it. Me, I brick all the time, but you guys might make the shot, right? So we do that, and I don't think it's overvalued. I do think there's an issue. I'm for player empowerment and player movement, but you got to represent the small market team somehow. So somewhere there's a happy medium to where the OKCs and the Pacers and the Magic, well, not the Magic, they've had first round picks and messed up. Exclude the Magic. But all those other small market teams, the Grizz, you know what I'm saying?
Oh man.
Where they have sound management, but they don't have the money and the resources to pull those free agents. There has to be something to include them, but I don't think it's overvalued, man. These players, they want to win on their own, and when they realize they can't because the odds are stacked against them, they're gonna find better odds. bump their legacy. I'm gonna go find
better
and get that
odds.
ring like Harden. So I don't think it's
That's a nice, simple way to put it.
Okay, all right, Ralph, you got something?
I have to go with this a little complex and what was Kev was saying, because like when you think about it, if I see Blake Griffin go over there and get a championship, for example, or Boogie got his ring, I'm like, okay, like you got a ring, okay, cool, but it means more when you was on the floor contributing, like just to have a ring, just to have it in the jewelry case. I think that's overvalued. I think doing a lot, trying to build a team to get a championship a la Toronto, like thinking that, hey, maybe we can turn this into something. I think that was also overvalued. I feel like in the long term, they probably would have been better off still having Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan there, trying to make it work and try and figure it out, especially without LeBron on their neck, which was really what was gating them a lot of the times. Overall, as a franchise, I think they'll be in a better place if they would have had Siakam there now. Maybe they still would have had Serge Ibaka. Like that would have been a really good team, a really strong franchise. But you can't deny what that championship did for the city and how everybody came together, and the celebration.
Legacy of Kyle Lowry, we call him a champion now. We don't call him, LeBron's doormat.
Yeah, and it worked out for some people. But I mean, would he have rather just had the gang back together, and they still just trying to make it work with Coach Casey? You got people getting fired because they're not winning the championship, like stuff like that. He was coach of the year, got fired. So I see both sides of the argument of it being over and undervalued. I think one championship might be overvalued, but I think we like that building of a dynasty, like a Warriors dynasty. You can go back, like when they highlight and be like, oh, the 99, 96 Bulls, like having all those different dynasties, the Lakers, Celtics, Bulls. I think great teams that can do it not just one time. I think that's not undervalued at all. And there's so much that goes into a championship, being healthy, the day-to-day, the people helping at the home games, the fans, the employees, the staff. There's so much that goes into trying to get that championship together. You can't just be like, oh, it's not that serious. I think it's a big Cinderella story for everybody that it touches in so many ways, and the city that it happens in. Henny Watch with JR out there popping the Henny bottles and everybody just being a part of it. I think it means a lot.
Okay.
I think it still means a lot.
Okay.
I think dirty money.
Look, so is it overvalued? Plain and simple, yeah, it's overvalued. It not to say that it's not important. It is important. It is a achievement. I think it's overvalued with the way people are trying to acquire it. I think it's overvalued when it comes to how people are trying to use it as a gate or stop as a obstacle as to why you were not great or why you did not contribute enough in the sports talk of the world. No one ever says anything about, for example, oh, how many Olympic medals you have as a basketball team. You know why? Because we go there every year and we freaking dominate 3 or 4. No, some people go 3-4 times and get like 4 medals. No one says anything about Carmelo Anthony's 4 gold medals or 3 gold medals, right?
Because they're the favorites. It's too easy.
It's because it's too easy, right? And it's
getting harder, but still.
Exactly. And so even if it gets harder, we're still expected to win. So until it becomes to the point to where we're expected to not win, is when the value of that gold medal goes up in our eyes, in America's eyes.
Means more.
Yeah. So the grand achievement of acquiring championship or being champions on the world stage or even on the national stage is always about your opposition. What did you have to do to acquire it? Just like every superhero, I'm going to comics, every superhero is gauged by who they had to defeat. The Joker, Lex Luthor. Ain't no one talking about Will Smith's character in
Hancock.
No one talks about Hancock. You know why? Because no one knows the villain.
Yeah.
Who was the villain?
Time.
Exactly. Like it's so at the end of the day, it's becoming overvalued because the narrative a lot of times is, oh, do you have a chip? If you have a chip, then great. We just saw Westbrook do 30 and 20 in a single game, and only other person that's done that is Elgin Baylor and Magic Johnson. And the words out of Stephen A. Smith's mouth was, hey, I'm cool, like that's nice and all, but we're past that. We want you to go and get a chip. He's on the worst team. He's on the worst team he's ever been on. Like the Washington Wizards are trash. Scott Brooks is a horrible coach.
Was it just about the chip though? Because I think also that team is really trash. Like it's like, okay, you're doing 30 and 20 and like you've done that, and you know we expect that from you. Like we've seen it before. We know you can do this.
But that was very historic.
It's like we want to see like wins at least, even if it's not the chip. Like let's see that translate into wins.
Yeah, I mean, and they did win that game. But
or winning season. Like let's not be way below 500.
I agree, and I agree.
That's a lot to ask for from the Wizards. So like you said, that's.
I appreciate the sentiment, but like you mentioned this a lot, Raph. Like the timing was the timing necessary? Right after the dude made this historical,
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that.
No,
I'm not Stephen A. Man. I don't know.
He never had championships. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So certain
why do we throw
like
that? Why do we throw that in people's face? I don't like that. I don't like it either.
And I think it's slowing down though. With people throwing it in people's face. I don't know if it's speeding up, but I was slowing down. But I've heard Shaq stop saying it as much. I heard him give praise to people like Charles Barkley, Carmelo, and saying, "Hey, these guys didn't do it, but they were great players." And I think that was him almost like taking back a little bit of stuff he said, because it was like, man, like you don't know, your words come out, people hear it, and then they come off and say things like we're saying right now. People always value the ring, but in that time he changed his statements and he was valuing the players.
And that's big for Shaq, because Shaq won his. He didn't win with Penny, but throughout his career he played with like some of the top shooting guards ever.
Yes.
Ever.
He played with the best guards in the game and at that time.
Yeah.
Penny was the best player. He was supposed to be the next Jordan. You know, so I don't know, man. Like I think at the end of the day, you know, the championship is always the pinnacle of success. You can't do anything more than get multiple rings. Like after you get one, there's nothing better than to get number 2. There's nothing better than get number 3. Like I get it. It's always the pinnacle of success, and how many times you do it just kind of helps you ascend further and further into like the halls of fame, the halls of fame, like the great Mount Rushmores of the like, you know, I get it, and so I do think it's important. I do think it's currently being overvalued only because people are seeing it as, well, if I have a ring, then I'm in the Hall of Fame, or I'm in these annals of conversation, and you may not be.
That's the thing, Chris. I think that's probably the reason why, because if you get a ring, you have a ring. You know what I mean? To get in the Hall of Fame is like you got to produce consistently. But a ring is just this absolute. You got it. You got it. You got it, or you don't got it.
I think because we living in it. I think when the dust is settled, we're gonna be like, when we talk about Boogie, we're not gonna talk about the ring. Y'all remember when Boogie was healthy and he was a bad boy out there? Like, we're not gonna be talking about his championship ring. We're not gonna talk about his championship run or almost run with the Warriors. We're not gonna talk about the ring.
We'll never say the champion Gary Payton. We just say Gary Payton.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking about when he was on the Kings and he was, you know, he had the aspirations of being a great player, but he got hampered due to injuries. So I think it looks that way. And even with the parity thing, I think that Lakers team had a tough route. Denver Nuggets is putting up a fight. The Clippers didn't show up. The Heat, you know, with the injuries they had, they still showed up and gave them a hell of a fight. It was a good championship run. Like I like that whole whatever happened in that playoffs season before. You know,
so, okay, I wanted to talk about that because you kind of you pulled the rug out from the Toronto championship. And going to Chris's point, it's about the opponent. They played a wounded beast, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why my favorite champion in the modern era, I guess you can call him, I don't know if it's modern, but Detroit Pistons when they beat the Lakers. The Lakers were a juggernaut, you know?
That's still my top right
I love that team.
Yeah, man.
But I was looking at Toronto, man. I pulled up something. So 1, 2, 3, 4. They went 5 years taking L's, man. And 2 back-to-back years. 3 years from LeBron James before they did everything to get Kawhi, to get the ring. And Toronto was just they weren't a losing franchise.
But even with that, Kawhi with these last second Game 7 daggers that buzzer beaters that just changed and altered the whole course of history. Like it's so much that goes into a championship. So even then, like I still give it to them. Like damn, they did it. They ended up toppling the 76ers. They ended up.
That was a championship right there.
It was the Bucks too, right?
They toppled the Bucks too. Yep.
Yeah. So
they did,
by the time they got over it, sure, injuries happen. Like it's part of that's why I celebrate the championships. Like I don't want to give them too much shine, but like it's so much that goes into it.
Did that not add to the Kawhi Leonard?
They were healthy
that
whole
to the
time.
Kawhi Leonard myth. They added the Kawhi Leonard myth, right? Like that's the run that cemented Kawhi Leonard, man.
Yeah,
the Toronto run.
Yeah. Because it was the buzzer beaters. He carried it right over the edge. You know what I mean? And they, like you mentioned, they lost prior. So it's like, what changed? Kawhi Leonard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know, man. That's all I had to say on that, man.
Even before season before that one, okay, the Warriors won, but that's because LeBron dragged the hobbled team all the way over there. If one of those other teams that he stopped,
I thought Boston was gonna make it. I wanted Boston.
Easily could have been a Game 6, Game 7 competitive series.
Yeah. So and the thing is that so let's look at the Golden State, the first championship. We understood that Cleveland had Kyrie only one game, and then they lost him for the rest of the series. You understand that Kevin Love was even there. So it basically was LeBron and a bunch of Dellavedovas trying to pull something out. But even then, even though on paper the talent was in favor of Golden State, they still had to stop LeBron. I think that was their biggest opposition in all the championships that they won. Like they've beaten LeBron 3 times.
That was my favorite LeBron champion. He lost, but that was my favorite LeBron championship series. That one, like
healthy Irvin, that would have been a problem, bro.
Yeah. And if Golden State beat them, then that would have made them. They would have catapulted them more, even more so, because like it's a healthy Cavs team versus a healthy Golden State. They would have probably talked about like how LeBron ain't number 1 no more, all that stuff, but. Because he had that out with him being the only person there and leading in all the 5 major stats for on both sides of the team.
But even
the MVP.
But even the lead up, you talked about it. Every team they faced had an injured guard.
Everyone had an injured guard. Yeah.
So it's there's so much that goes. I think the parity thing is a bigger issue. Do we think it is? I think with the small market teams, I think it is a real issue. But in terms of it's just gonna be an easy breezy win for these teams. Like maybe when there's injuries, but there's a lot of talent and there's a lot of teams with a lot of grit that could just make it happen. Like I said, I was saying it with the Heat last season.
Yeah. No one saw.
Once you're in there, and that anybody can win that. Like
man. Even more so now. Like I've heard countless people say it now, and we can see it. It's a tight race in both sides on both conferences. So I don't know. Even with all these moves like we're talking, there's still high competition.
Those moves, man. Like I don't think they moved the needle for either team, man. Like you're not gonna tell me that Blake Griffin, and Marcus Aldridge are playing meaningful minutes in the playoffs.
It does move the needle. LA. I think it moves the needle in the sense that the depth they need, some points off the bench.
In the season, but
no, I'm talking about in the playoffs.
You need that. You need
the
that.
Playoffs.
And they have the season down there.
And it's in the season that it doesn't really matter. It's in the playoffs that I'm talking about. And if there is a possible injury, having the ability to tap this guy and say, let's see what this works. Let's see if this works, or if it's just like something's not working out. Like when Celtics was meeting the Heat, they were doing some 2 and 3s and some box zones, and it was messing them up. And they try to do some rotations, like just having somebody to rotate and try and just mess up whatever the game plan of the opponent is. Having options is good.
Yeah,
that's the goal of defense.
Yeah, I think we say it's like we always say, like even the whole leader. Oh, Celtics is gonna be like, we think the Lakers are gonna be that team. Like who else is gonna see them? And it's just like until they get toppled, and then we just move on like nothing happened.
Yeah,
we act like it's set in stone, but it's not.
Yeah,
I don't think the Lakers are set in stone, man. Even before the injuries.
No, Lakers were never set in stone.
But a lot of people believe that though.
There are a lot of people that believe it. Yeah.
Nothing set in stone until that happens. We saw that with the Clippers last year, and we seen it with.
Ooh, can I get a refund
with every Kyrie?
I bought tickets to the.
To the Staples
What was
Center?
that? The battle in LA, man.
Well, I mean,
For the battle in LA.
I mean, which one? You could have went to the losing side and watched them lose, and then you could have watched the Lakers win.
I wanted the two to play, man.
Okay. They played today, I think.
Yeah, ain't the same.
Okay.
Nah, it wasn't the same.
Because Playoff P was there. That's what it was.
Really?
I mean, I wanted that Clippers team. I want Lemon Pepper Lou and Harold, man. I want that version.
Okay.
It is what it is.
Okay. Well, they got Rondo, man. So I don't know if that makes you feel any better, but
It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So yeah, let's go ahead and close this out real quick, man. We've got a good hour up in this piece. Sign offs, Ralph. You wanna kick us off with something?
Thanks for rocking with us. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, dislike if you don't like it, comment, hit us up on Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Facebook group soon come. Dirty Money gonna hit y'all with the details. Thanks for rocking with us.
Cool. Kev RL.
We got all that good stuff, you know what I mean? Thanks for rocking with us. Appreciate the time you spent with us. Hit that like button, comment, subscribe, let us know what's going on. We want to get some topic suggestions too, so we could, talk about what the audience want to hear. So let us know what you want to hear. We're here.
Cool. All right, and Cole Cashwell, if that's your real name.
Hey, Katie, since they call you Cupcake, you think you can get nothing but Bun Cakes to sponsor us? Yes? No?
Katie Cupcake?
Whoa.
That's
I know about that.
Whoa. What is your Twitter handle so he can come after you? Man?
I didn't know it was like that.
DM's about to be popping after this one.
Let me spit out all my social media.
He said he gonna come spit on you, man. I heard.
It's gonna rain some lava. Like 7 feet tall.
He said pull up on 6th and 5th.
He a llama? Come on, man.
Oh man. All right. And this is Dirty Money Chris. And thank you for rocking with us for another episode. This is what, episode 35 or 35 episodes in, man.
Hey, word.
When's the milestone? 50? When we get to 50? When we get to 50, is that a milestone?
Every day's a milestone, man.
You're right. That's true.
So if you want to make 50 an extra special milestone, that's cool.
I don't know. I mean, I'm asking,
we gonna have to have a different. We gonna have to have a different bottle of cognac in every square.
Okay. Mine's gonna be Scotch whiskey Hennessy, but
what?
I'm gonna have that spirulina.
Scotch whiskey Hennessy. What is that?
I don't know, man. Coley Cole said he had the.
He did say that. He was gone.
Whatever he got, I got.
You taking the words from a guy that was tipsy at the time, man.
Oh wow, excuses. So
he was just trying to say it was brown. That's really what he was just trying to say. It was brown.
Yeah, sticking with the color.
So you apologizing or you sorry?
Neither.
He's sorry. That's what you heard.
Yeah, exactly.
He's sorry you had to see it.
He's sorry I had to see it.
I'm sorry you understood it that way.
Oh wow, victim blaming. Okay. All right, so yeah, man. Again, man, thank you guys for rocking with us, and we will hit you guys with another episode next week, man. So until then, man, catch y'all later, man. Peace.